On May 9, 2023, the evacuation of the entire settlement of Brienz village south of the Lenzerhorn Peak was ordered in Switzerland as it was determined that a large-scale landslide is imminent there. This landslide could, in a worst-case scenario, destroy the entirety of the village, causing a large loss of life if people were still in it when this occurs. Thus, everyone was ordered to leave the town by 6 p.m. local time on Friday, May 12, 2023. In my opinion, I would not recommend returning to this village until after the entire landslide occurs and the region is once again considered safe to be in. The reason for my assertion is a large segment of a near-vertical cliff face that jets out from the hillside to the north, being informally referred to as the island. While the entire village has been moving as part of a slow landslide, this island is moving at an exceptionally faster rate than the surrounding land. By 2023, it was moving at a rate of 32 meters or 105 feet a year, and in the last few days may have accelerated to an even faster rate. Thus, between May 16, 2023 and June 2, 2023, it is fully expected that up to 2 million cubic meters of rock will collapse in one or more destructive landslides. Based on comparing the expected size of this landslide to other somewhat similar magnitude landslides, in my opinion, if the island were to all collapse at once, the slide could travel anywhere from 850 meters to 2,000 meters, although this is just an educated guess of mine. Overlaying my low-end estimate, an 850-meter slide would destroy at least 31 structures. However, the slide will probably start at an elevation of around 480 meters or 1,575 feet above the aforementioned village, so it will have a lot of potential energy and thus could possibly travel even further. Thus, the evacuation zone could but is not guaranteed to be further expanded in the upcoming days to weeks. However, there is a potential scenario where the village is not destroyed as outlined in one of the 3 current possibilities. Not being set in any order of likelihood, the first possibility is that the island does not collapse in a catastrophic landslide, but rather moves at around a rate of decimeters to meters a day before coming to a rest on the slope below. Possibility 2 is that the 2 million cubic meters of rock does not break off all at once, but rather through multiple smaller landslides, each perhaps being in the range of 100,000 to 500,000 cubic meters. Possibility 3 is the worst-case scenario where the entire island collapses at once, likely destroying the entire village and perhaps even sending boulders to temporarily block a section of the Albula River to the south. Although I do not foresee a blockage occurring in this scenario, it is technically possible, which would mean another hazard would occur once a temporary dam breaks, forming an outburst flood. However, the major landslide has not yet actually happened, so talk of a dam forming in the river is purely speculation and not proven by facts. The village of Brienz has been the site of a prior landslide with a volume of 2.5 million cubic meters of rock in 1878, which left behind the landslide scarp to the east of the modern island and covered the region I have marked on the screen. The reason why 2 landslides are occurring, which have both probably been ongoing for several hundred and perhaps several thousand years, relates to the slow rise in regional temperatures ever since the last glacial maximum occurred 20,000 years ago. At the time, 80% of Switzerland was covered in thick glaciers. As these glaciers carved away against rock, their mere presence held up rock faces that would otherwise have failed. However, once they greatly retreated, some steep cliffs were no longer stable, allowing for slow movement to begin of these unstable rock faces. A second factor is in play relating to a single-digit percentage section of Switzerland containing permafrost. Permafrost soil is harder than regular soil, thus acting as a controlling force that prevents some landslides. But with the permafrost largely disappearing in the last few hundred years, landslides in previously permafrost-covered areas become more common. Thanks for watching. If you would like to request a specific topic, please leave a comment below. Additionally, I would like to thank this channel's patrons on Patreon and channel members on YouTube.